you use the word rupture, and in your work, rupture appears both as insurrectionary sort of destruction and this sustained construction against the imposed order. Why are they both necessary for you for you as a thinker and an organizer?
Yeah. So this is very much related to a conversation I had with my partner at one time. We were talking about this, and I was basically saying like this thing is gonna crumble, right? It has to crumble. It has to crumble. Like, and maybe that's a hope on my end, but I mean, at least it's not political hope. Anyway, that's something we talked about. The thing is gonna crumble. The question is always what will be built in its place, right? And in terms of like the Anarcata statement that I referenced, the what's said is the world we're fighting for, or what we're fighting for, right? And to what end is not to preserve this world, it's not to better it, it's not to change it, it's not to transform it in a radical way. Our end goal is to end it. And that's saying its end is our beginning,
Hmm.
right? And usually what people will think about when they hear that is, okay, that means we just destroy the world and then we begin building a new one then, right? But this isn't what's being talked about, right? Even when we go to like the writing Black Armed Joy, right? A type of notes toward a black insurrectionary anarchism, right? When we go to that writing, even when there's discussion of the fact that we do what's necessary to combat, countervail, and bring down, right, violent systems where we're at to the best degree that we can right now, right? And it's talking about attack in this instance, right? But even when we're talking about this is not in a silo. It's baked into that assumption that we need to bring down the world. We need to play a part in that, right? Now, the reality though is that the beginning we're talking about is a beginning where we can name ourselves. You see what I mean? Because going back to what I said about how the
Yeah.
political world comes into being, like the white man or the political and all these systems that are constituted by it is what name us black. They impose the name on us, right? Now, when the world is ended, right? Then what we have is a situation where, okay, we can name ourselves. But the process of ending it, right? And the process through which we build up the capacity to name ourselves and not just bring back up and reproduce the same structures is one that is a building process, right? If we're just talking about destroying, as Kwame Ture said, we're not talking about revolution. What the revolutionary must build, you know what I mean? Like that's the primary task, right? So this is why it's so vital to name both aspects of it and understand how they relate to each other, right? Because now, whenever we're looking at a situation where, okay, let's build up alternatives, we're talking about a constructive aspect. We're talking about a prefigurative aspect. That's when we're looking at like folks doing stuff like what Cooperation Jackson is doing and what a lot of different similar formations are doing across contexts, right? When we're talking about doing stuff that like we do with Black mindedness in terms of knocking on doors and figuring out how can we coordinate, you feel me, coordinate resources and people and figure out a way
Hmm.
to build up a system that operates autonomously, right, from this broader political apparatus. When we're talking about that, we're talking about a prefigurative element, but the thing that makes that process ruptural or a rupturing process is the orientation of it. You see what I mean? If it's oriented against the political in name and in practice, then that makes it a ruptural practice. It's just a slow burn. It is something where you're erecting a
Yeah.
structure and then, you know what I mean, it's kind of piercing the sky a little bit and making a rip there, right?
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about the
Yeah.
insurrectionary attack type of vibes of it, right? That's those moments of rebellion or outright refusal, right? These things that the political doesn't see as just a cut. It's like, oh, you opened up a gap, right? So that little hole was poked in the sky. Now somebody's going to the top of the building and ripping it all the way down. You know what I mean? And exposing the
Hmm.
thing bare naked in all of its fragility, right? And when that
Yeah.
happens, now there's more space for those structures that have been being erected through these prefigurative practices to like basically take up the space. And now it's a question of, okay, how do we
Mhm.
play off these two dynamics and expand that space?